This old man had 4 children, and none of them wanted to come home for Eid. So, what did he do? He packed his bags and went to see them himself, not to scold them, not to argue, just to ask one simple question. Are you happy? Just a few days ago, the night before Eid, Abdullah was busy preparing. He bought fresh meat, a new grill, even cleaned up the backyard, hoping his kids would show up for Eid dinner. He waited by the phone, full of hope. But all he got were voicemails. They were too busy. It was his first Eid alone since his wife passed away 8 months ago. She was the glue that held the family together. They always called her. Now, they hardly called him. The silence was deafening, the loneliness unbearable. So Abdullah made a decision. No more waiting. He wrote 4 letters, packed his meds, and stepped out of the home he'd lived in for 70 years. He was going to find his children and ask them, in person, are you happy? His first stop was Karachi. His youngest son, Hassan, lived there, a talented artist, or so Abdullah believed. But when he got to Hassan's apartment, no one answered. He waited and waited. He wandered the streets, past an art gallery, and saw Hassan's painting. It brought back memories. What do you want to be when you grow up? A painter? No, son, not a painter, an artist. Artists paint pictures that change lives. Abdullah spent the night at a quiet tea shop, talking to another old man who, like him, was spending Eid alone. That night, Abdullah realized, if things didn't change, he too would end up talking to strangers instead of family. He returned to the apartment the next morning. Still no sign of Hassan. He left the letter, not knowing Hassan didn't live there anymore. Next stop, Lahore. His daughter Amina greeted him with a smile, but something was off. She was nervous, distant. Her son barely acknowledged Abdullah. Her husband didn't come home till late. Abdullah sensed cracks beneath the polished surface. He asked Amina, "Can I stay a few days?" She made excuses. As they hugged goodbye at the station, he asked again, "Are you happy?" "Of course I am." But her eyes said otherwise. Then came Yusuf, the eldest. Abdullah thought he was a music conductor, but Yusuf was just a percussionist, a drummer in the back row. Abdullah felt disappointed. But when Yusuf introduced him to a friend and shared a warm moment, something softened. As they hugged, Abdullah asked, "Are you happy?" "I get paid to bang a loud drum all day. Of course I'm happy." But was he? Rania, the youngest, lived in Dubai. She rented a fancy apartment and picked Abdullah up in a luxury SUV. Everything seemed perfect. But one favor from a neighbor turned into an entire day of babysitting. Their fancy dinner was cancelled. Abdullah didn't mind. He played with the baby. Somehow he felt a deep bond with the child. That night, he overheard a voicemail. The apartment wasn't hers. The baby, hers. The neighbor, her partner, the neighbor. Abdullah didn't say a word. He simply asked, "Why did you always talk to your mothers and not me?" Rania replied, "Because she listened. You always told us what to do." On the flight home, Abdullah collapsed. He woke up in a hospital bed. His children stood by his side, except Hassan. He finally heard the truth. Hassan had passed away. He died alone, in Turkey. Abdullah broke down. But in a dreamlike haze, he saw Hassan again. "I told Ami I wouldn't be long. Give her my love." "I will." "I'm sorry, son." "It's not your fault, Abba." Abdullah recovered. He returned to his quiet home. The letter to Hassan was returned, unopened. Inside was a photo of the kids with their mother during Eid. He visited his wife's grave. It was a long journey. If I could do it again, I'd be less strict. I'd just listen. Abdullah went back to Karachi, hoping to buy Hassan's painting. It was gone. But the gallery assistant remembered him. She said, "Hassan used to say, if it weren't for his father, he wouldn't have become an artist." She showed him one last unfinished piece. It was a painting of telephone poles, a tribute to Abdullah's job making telephone cables. That moment, Abdullah broke down. This time on Eid, They all came home, they laughed, they cooked, they remembered their mother. And as Abdullah looked around, at the joy, the smiles, he didn't care who was rich, who was famous. He only cared about one thing, that they were happy. "Everything is okay," he whispered to his wife. Maybe the story was a little sentimental, but sometimes all it takes to bring a family back together is asking the question, are you happy?